Hello and welcome to the Boomer 11 Live. It's been a while, of course, and I was not here. And yeah, last time around, you did see Sandeepani and Jaren go about it. But yeah, we are here to talk about WTC Final. It's been long 2 days if you're an Indian fan because things did not really go our way, didn't it? And it was just going downhill and downhill. And right now, we've reached a position where we really think it's about curtains, isn't it? I'll be waiting to see your next episode. Yes, that's what Abraham Iso says. Okay, that's Jaren's dad. Hi, Uncle. How are you doing? I hope you're doing great. So, yeah, let's get right into it, boys. It's been one of those finals once again, 10 years of wait. It just looks like it's just going to continue for a few more months or even more. It started off as where India won the toss, put Australia to bat, and that's all we all wanted. We all wanted India to ball first in that green conditions, overcast condition. We got first wicket in the second over, and then we were looking like we were in the game. And then came that big partnership, right? David Warner, Manas Labuschagne, and then 76 for three. You always had you had them. Then Travis had played baseball kind of an innings where he absolutely took them off, took us off the grid totally. And now the issue is Australia did post 470 odd, but India are in deep trouble, 5 down for 151. So now you can't say it was flat batting conditions, which led to Australia scoring 470. Our batters did not apply at all. So we're going to be talking about that. Welcome, both of you. I'll start off with Sandeepani. Sandeepani, did we miss a trick, especially with our bowling? Because that's one thing which everybody's talking about, not having Ashwin there. The kind of way in which Lion ball today, especially, he was getting the ball to drift, he was getting the ball to angle out a little bit, he was putting the pressure, breaks on India. And now, if you look back in hindsight, 474 wickets, we took it for granted way too much.
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. Me being a Ashwin fan, obviously I'll put it out there. I had already put it out there that you don't need both Shardul Thakur and Umesh Yadav. I think one of the two paces could have been given away for. So I think not getting in Ashwin in for another World Test Championship finals. I think it's a criminal blunder, and I think I know where the selectors are coming from. The last World Test Championship finals, they had gone with two spinners, which did not work for us. But then again, I mean, experience counts, and oval conditions in the like you saw how Nathan Lyon will get to extract something from the rough that Mitchell Stark has been creating from the other end. So
Yeah.
I think Ashwin would have been would have played a larger role with four left-handed batsmen. Also, if you consider Mitchell Stark being a batsman, so they have five left-handed batsmen in their top eight. So Ashwin would have played a huge factor come the second innings. But the way they are playing, I mean, the Indian batters are playing, I
Yeah.
don't really know whether Australia would be required to bat a second innings. So I think to
I mean,
start off
that's an
with,
interesting point that you
yeah,
put out there, especially in regards to follow on. We will talk about it because
yeah.
it could be imminent, but we're not sure if they're going to enforce it or not. But I'll get to
No, I
Jaren.
think just to
I mean,
start off with,
mm,
India lost the trick. I mean, also they were unlucky. I did not think that they bowled too
mm,
badly at the
yeah,
start. They bowled beautifully,
yeah,
76 for three. They had
mm,
Australia on the ropes, especially because Travis said,
yeah,
yeah, we knew that Travis said was going to be the X
mm,
factor, the potential danger for India, especially
yeah,
with the strike rate that with which he goes about his business. But then again, Travis had this was his first century against India, so he did not have a very good record against India, predominantly
yeah,
playing in India for that matter.
yeah.
But India could have seized control, but suddenly I mean, the weather gods also
I
played
mean,
with
you have
us.
to say it had to do with India not having the third and fourth bowling option who can apply excessive amount of pressure. Then that's what I'll
But then
get to
again,
you.
Abel, I think the
Yeah.
overcast conditions went away. It became completely sunny, and
I
it
mean,
was
I don't think we can blame it at this point because Indian batting really showed that we ball badly. So I just leave it right there. We
or
were not
for
good
that
enough.
matter, Indian batting showed that we batted badly, not bowled badly. I think we
I mean,
bowled decently.
I would say it's a combination of both. Our bowling was
Yeah.
extremely poor. If you look at the lines, the lengths which we were bowling, the amount of width we were giving to the Australian batters to pounce on. I mean, you
Lack
have to
of
say that
plan.
was
I
some
think it was
ordinary
it.
bowling.
You have to, if you get a partnership of
Yeah,
290 odd runs in a World Test Championship
yeah,
finals, you have to owe it to lack of plan. Because if
yeah.
you have a particular plan set in mind, you won't see a partnership brew up, especially of 290.
Mm,
You will
yep,
see a false shot from one of the batsmen because they
yeah.
did not go on to play a very flauntless innings.
Exactly.
You could
Now,
see
if you
with
take the 290 run partnership off, their cumulative run scoring was what 160 odd, and that was not good enough. Jen, I mean, we did talk about it in excessive outside this live stream as to how India missed a trick in not playing a Jaydev Unadkat. I was big up on going with Jaydev Unadkat way before the moment they announced the squad itself, I was very clear that Jalen Mulaka should be there in the squad. It should be there in the playing 11 because left arm angle, what he can possibly bring is a lot of experience as well. Considering what Umesh Yadav was doing in IPL in the WTC run, he was out totally out of rhythm. And to give him that nod ahead in a game like this, where you knew, okay, he was the most experienced campaigner, but in form, you have to say Umesh Yadav was not your best pick. Or in form, or given the experience, if that was the case, Ashwin should have been your number one pick in that team list. Ashwin, then the rest of the ballers. 474 wickets. We spoke about it already, but let's talk about that particular selection. Umesh Yadav coming in and bowling, absolutely opening the floodgates for Australia to pounce on. They did score. They did score against Umesh Yadav with a run rate of close to 5 initially, and Travis Head and Steve Smith was feasting on him like he was a part-time bowler, and that's where you really felt like India was leaving one end open for easy one scoring for Australia.
Yeah, I think in many ways, I still think India got the better of the toss because I think if this pitch was going to do anything, it was going to do in that first session. That was pretty clear because I did speak about this in the live as well, Abel and Sandipani, when I said, right, that Dinesh Karthik, even Ricky Ponting later on in the match said that when he went over to the pitch, he saw that there was some dry grass underneath that layer of fresh grass early on, which meant the moment the sun came out, that grass is only going to do the job of holding the wicket together. So
Yeah.
that I genuinely felt in that first 10 overs, India would regret a lot that they couldn't get that second wicket of Australia, which is credit to them because they batted exceptionally well. They kept ensured that they only went after the right lens. And
Yeah.
then again, as you mentioned, the change of bowling is what really changed the game. Umesh Yadav came in, bowled a lot of wide delivery. So probably Jaydev Unadkat was a better option. The reason what I
Well, Jed,
came to
why
know
I
was
say that is because 76 for 3, you could have had Australia 151 for 5. I mean, that's what we're talking
yeah,
about. You let them
absolutely.
go off the hook when you had a grasp of it. After lunch session, especially yesterday,
Yeah.
you were in control. You had the dominant hand and you let go of them. And that's where Australia, that Boland factor, and Patrick Cummins bowling consistent lines, building pressure after pressure, not letting Indian batters score free runs, and Umesh Yadav and Shardul Thakur giving one boundary every over. That really made a lot of difference.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Australia's bowling attack today. Every bowler has picked up a wicket. And when it came to India, you felt like all Australia had to do was ride out the spell by Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj whenever they came back and wait for the likes of Shardul Thakur and Umesh Yadav to come in. Even Shardul Thakur did ball well, I would still say, in patches. But that's the thing about Test cricket, right? When it comes to Test cricket, the batter's job is to ensure that they pick on mistakes of the bowlers, and the bowler's job is to ensure that they don't make mistakes. They ensure that there's a tight corridor of bowling. The batters don't get chances to score. A batter in Test cricket is comfortable when he gets a boundary every 2 overs, let alone a boundary every over. So when you start doing that, then you're letting go of the match. And yeah, I think that's where again not bringing in Ashwin was such a blunder. Because Sanimani has rightly said it. I also think the reason why they did not get him in because of that hangover from the last match, where you felt like Ashwin shouldn't have played that one. But the conditions were totally different. It was overcast throughout. Today, I mean, in this situation, there was dry grass underneath. India should have realized that after the first day, things are going to be much more easier to bat upon. On the other hand, I think I think what Ricky Ponting said was absolutely accurate. He said that India was only picked up a team for the first session of this Test match, and now we're genuinely seeing that. I think when it comes to India's batting, we did not apply good enough because I think there's not enough demons on this pitch for it to be where India is right now. I think
Yeah.
after that, if you can survive till the 20th over, then it becomes much more easier. But the way India lost their wickets, except for Virat Kohli, I would say everyone else lacked application. Virat Kohli got a bumper, something that probably even Manas Labuschagne got, but he was lucky to survive it. When
Yeah.
it comes to Virat Kohli, left arm angle and the ball bouncing that much, there's not much prayer. I mean, there's not any prayer in the world that can save you there.
Yeah, it was a good ball, but I still thought he could have gone to the back foot. He committed on the front foot a little too early. That's one thing he could have possibly done. It's not
Yeah,
like what was a possible way in which he could have countered it. It was by going into the back foot. But let's leave that alone. We'll take this question from Ronnie Datta to start off with because he says Rishabh Pant would have made a difference. I really don't think so, man, because I think India lost the plot in the bowling. 470 runs when you had them on the hook and letting go of them and conceding cheap runs. And at the same time, why I say cheap runs is because in test matches, you don't ball loose deliveries. What India used to do prior to 2015, from 2010 to 2015, where India had horrendous time in test cricket, where India were going and getting battered every single place we went, was doing this mistake. Ishan Sharma used to ball really bad by giving those width, where one end was absolutely loose. Zahir Khan used to do all the hard work, and one end other ball used to leak a lot of runs. So this was like a nostalgic nightmare for me watching that Indian team ball like that. The one thing which I really hoped India would do was to do that right, which India did from 2015 to 2021 under Bharat Arun. I call out Paras Mambre again. He's a possibly the worst bowling coach we have. I called him out in South Africa. I called him out in England last year when India could have won that fifth Test match by not defending 372. Again, Paris Mamre, he has no clue whatsoever he's doing as a Test match coach. I mean, why don't we blame him? I mean, what are we doing? I mean, we blame the bowlers, we do everything. Bharat Arun, he used to come with strategies every single day for every single day's play. We were in position when teams used to bat well against us, we should come back into the game. Now that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about bowling coaches coming with strategies and the intensity levels. Oh my god, I don't have to get into it. It looked like a dead Indian team playing. It just looked like a dead Indian team. Shoulders were dropping, no energy, no pumped up fashion of any of the players. The era looks like we just undone all the hard work which we did for 7 years. Sandeep, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I'll I'll not be so critical on the Indian bowlers because to start off with, once both the batters got settled, Travis Head and Steven Smith, that is. I mean, yeah, we let them off the hook once there was 76 for 3, but post the tea session, it got easier to bat on. I mean, we could have what we did not have was a concrete plan. So it is because you can't pinpoint a bowler and say he bowled badly. Well, Umesh Yadav was erring on the line in his first and second spell. But today, I think he was very unlucky not to get a wicket today because you had enough instances where he could have picked up Alex Carey or a Steven Smith. But then again, that is how Test cricket is. It is very harsh on you. Mohammad Shami bowled brilliantly yesterday.
Yeah,
I think today, towards the later half, he really slacked down a bit. And there was some 30-40 easy runs that Pat Cummins and Alex Carey piled on towards the later end. But I think the main issue was that 290 runs partnership. And rightly mentioned, I think with Bharat Arun being there, you wouldn't have seen an Indian team go in session after session being wicketless, and the shoulders wouldn't have dropped that much. I could only see aggression in the form of Siraj, which I have always seen. And I think they implemented the short ball plan on Travis said once he was in his 90s. Instead of starting it when he was
yeah,
new, okay. I mean, you have a particular plan for Travis Head. He was batting well. He was batting, taking the attack on the bowlers. He was counter
yeah,
attacking. Once he was on his 20s or 30s, you could have moved on to plan B, which was the shorter delivery. And eventually, we saw that he was struggling against the shorter delivery. He looked very irky on his 90s,
yeah,
and so Steven Smith. I think these two Australian players, there were lots of times when they did not look settled. Steven Smith in his 30s, when he was in his 30s, and Travis Head was just going bonkers from the other end in his 70s, 80s. I mean, both of them started together. Steven Smith was in his 30s. He took
yeah,
a lot of time to score those 10 runs from 30 to 40. And once he
mm,
got there, he started rolling again. And that is the quality of batsmen. That is where your true quality goes in justified. He stayed there for 30, 40 balls, grinded it out, and then he finally got his flow going. So
yeah.
there was opportunity. You could have probably gotten a more attacking field when he was in his 30s. And then there was no particular plan for Steven Smith. They started with the plan that Neil Wagner and New Zealand tried of the short delivery or bowl in the leg side, probably get him flicking on one onto the leg sleeve
There was
or
no enough bounce like Australia to try that and the ball to
bounce
bounce
for
off.
that. So they moved on to the plan B, which was bowling outside off, and they were really inconsistent in
We
that
failed in
line
that
because they were
plan
giving him half
forever now.
volleys.
That's what really makes me feel like there was no plan whatsoever. Like at least with
Exactly.
that plan in Australia we deployed against Steve Smith, that was a plan formulated by Bharataran. Why I go back to him and why I brought that discussion, Jaren, why I know why I'm just bringing that, guys, is because I felt that one. It's not the first time it's happening, right? It's the third overseas test match. South Africa 2022, uh, the January test match in Cape Town where we could have defended. We did not do it. The England test match once again. It's the third overseas test match where our bowling attack looks clueless under this new management. And I have to pinpoint it because it is repeated offense. It's not India where you have everything served on a platter for you. You have to go there and land the ball, and rest the pitch will do. In conditions like this, at times you have to get the game by the scruff of its neck. That's what India used to do so perfectly for the 7 long years till 2022, where we used to go travel abroad and make sure we have a consistent amount of pressure which was being inbuilt on this team, and then they used to make a mistake. And there were no easy runs. Here, the issue since that 2022, since the new management has taken over, is no divisive strategy which is on the face of it. Secondly, easy runs being given, poor field settings, no plans, shoulders dropping, no intensity, playing test cricket like you don't want to be there. Jaren, you sense that, right? And I think Kapil's question is very valid, because I still think Rohit Sharma's captaincy was awful in the first innings. It was awful. It was as bad as it could have gotten. Because even remember in the last WTC, we had New Zealand on the ropes. They have a 200 for 5 and we got them all for 250. We just gave them 30 runs lead.
Yeah, I think let's start with the bowling coach itself, right? I think I would still say that plans that you make against batters, there are a lot of other people who should be involved in it as well, including the bowlers, the other coaches, the batting coaches, because everyone sees a flaw. Someone who sees a flaw should probably actualize it. But one thing that I will be very critical about is India's lengths, because even in that first innings, right, I think that is the difference between Australia and India is the lengths that India and Australia have bowled. With the new ball, what Australia has bowled is they have ensured that the stumps have been brought into play. Even Mohammad Shami himself did not really bring the stumps into play. I think I'm not. I think I'm not saying that we want Indian bowlers to try and ball half volleys, because it was not that kind of a pitch where you would be able to try and get the swing earlier. And Mohammad Shami is not that kind of bowler as well. He relies on seam, but at least you should try and hit the knee roll of the batter, or at least the top of the pad of the batter. I think, but in our case, what we were bowling is we're bowling back of the length. It just seemed like there was a hangover of IPL 2023 that
Yeah,
both that Mohammad Shami
absolutely.
especially was going through,
Mm.
because it seemed like they were bowling subcontinent lengths really. There was a
Yes.
graph that was shown after the first 10
Yeah.
overs where we
Mm.
were shown to be bowling 60% of our lengths on
Yeah.
good length and back of the good
We
length.
we were not bowling on a 6 meter length. We were
Yeah, and
way
the
too
one
short
wicket of
on that.
Mohammad Khwaja that fell was at that 5 meter mark between the full length and the good length. That is where
Mm.
you should be probably trying to aim, and that's where we really failed. And that's the reason why I say India should have gotten more than a wicket in that first session. On the other hand, you look at how Australia bowled with the new ball, they kept attacking the stumps. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill both were driving off the front foot. They were looking really comfortable.
Yeah.
We were 30 odd runs in 6 overs. That's actually bad bowling, you would say. But they
Yeah.
stuck on to their plan and it worked. It eventually worked because
Yeah, that
at
was
the
the
end of the
difference,
day,
right?
you can
Because
feel a
the
little bit of
balls
risk.
which Australian players left, it missed the stump. And the moment our
Yeah,
length, especially Austin Boland and Patrick Cummins, their length was much more fuller. Even for the matter, Cam
absolutely.
Green, who's a 6 feet 4 inch bowler, his delivery stride is very big. He usually tends to get a lot more bounce from a fuller length. But he knew he had to be a lot more fuller to get the stumps involved. And I don't think there's a lot of bounce, contrasting bounce difference from yesterday and today. It's almost very similar. It's just that millimeters of length which matters the most in these kind of conditions, and that's what they utilize it a lot more. It also has to do a lot with planning and where to ball, which India did not, I feel. And that's why I come back to bowling coach, right? Why I'm so annoyed is the fact that the bowling coach is the one who devises strategy, especially when it comes to length. Okay, I know the execution is with the bowler, but there was no strategy, especially when it comes to where do you ball. It happened. You were in England for 7 days now. You knew where exactly. And this is not the first tour for Shami or Siraj, or even for the matter for Shardul or Umesh. This is their third or fourth tour. So they all know how to ball in these conditions. And given the fact where Australian batters are more troubled is the fuller length. Even for Travis Head, he's always troubled in the fuller length ball trying to go away from him. He tends to get on driving position. He nicks it more
I
often than
mean,
not.
Abel, I have to say this that Indian bowlers, if nothing else, all they had to do was watch the Ashes series that Australia played against England. How Stuart Broad, James Anderson, Ollie Robinson, they all ball at full and delivery. I think India, it was criminal of India to let someone like David Warner bat as long as he did. He was absolutely struggling, and Indian bowlers did not ball the lengths that someone like a Stuart Broad had balled. And Indian bowlers did not even come round the wicket. Mohammad Siraj did not come round the wicket to him.
Hmm.
Umesh Yadav did not come round the wicket to him. Even when he came round the wicket, he balled short and wide, which
Yeah.
was absolutely criminal, I would say. I think
Yeah.
I can still understand that Steve Smith, Manav Labuschagne, Travis said they were all coming in with rich vein of form.
Yeah.
But someone like David Warner, he was struggling in the middle of the park, and you allowed him to go ahead and play a kind of innings he did. I think that's where he really set a target. If you had
Yeah.
gotten both the openers back in the hut, for instance, look at what
Yeah.
happened to India, right? Both the openers are back in the hut, and suddenly the pressure was on Indian batting lineup.
Yeah.
It would have
Yeah.
been much worse for Australia because Australia knew that heading into that pitch, it was going to be a tough pitch to bat on, and then they absolutely had to bank on their top order to ensure that the middle order is not exposed to that kind of a spicy
True.
pitch, I would say.
True.
So
I agree
we
with you totally.
really messed up there.
We really did. We really did. Couple of interesting questions, Sanibani. Would you like to take that? Because he says Rohit Sharma's captaincy is definitely he's not impressed with it. I mean, I also did mention I was not impressed with it either because he looked clueless yesterday. He did better today, especially at least in terms of building pressure, bringing more close in fielders, not letting singles away. So that's one thing I'll give him a brownie point for today. But other than that, yesterday he was absolutely clueless where we let them off the hook completely. Today, what we are suffering is because of what we did yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is at the end of the day, it is going to be about the 290 run partnership. It is only going to be about that 290 runs partnership, and how India are going to come close to that magnanimous total of 469. I mean, 290 runs, take that 290 runs out, 179, and another, even if it would have been a 150 runs partnership, they would have been close to 300, 330, which was, I think, something that. We can say par, right? First innings par score. I thought Australia would go on to score something in between 300 to 350. 469, I think, in a World Test Championship finals is a little too much. And Rohit Sharma as a captain, I think I'll totally second you on that. I think he was good today. Yesterday, he just did not know what to do. When Travis said Steven Smith went into the tea break without losing the wicket, and Australia was some 170 for three. I think that is after coming from three break, when they found scoring so easy. Travis Head was taking the attack on the bowlers, and Steven Smith occasionally was getting those 2-3 boundaries and then getting into a shell. And again, Steven Smith played a Steven Smith sort of a knock
Yeah.
where he is into his zone. He is in his zone. He'll play his style of cricket, his way of cricket, and built and scored his 31st century. And I think. The more we criticize Indian management, Indian players, I think credit should go where credit is due. Travis said one of the best knocks under pressure, coming in 3 for 76, scoring 162 of 170 deliveries was a great task. And Steven Smith, the ever so consistent Steven Smith, this is what separates, I think, great players from I mean mediocre players, because you see a Williamson, you see a Steven Smith, you see a Joe Root, they step up. Even a Kohli, I mean Kohli has done it for India in the past in numerous occasions where all the other batters have failed. You have seen Kohli step up, and these are the players that step up in crunch situations. And I really hope that a Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli would step up today. Okay, Kohli got a gem of a delivery. He was on the front foot to a delivery that was probably in the 10-meter mark, which was, I think, his undoing over there. But once again, Rohit Sharma and his nemesis with the in-swinging delivery. I was expecting Rohit Sharma to finally get going because IPL is over. We never see Rohit Sharma score in the IPL. So Rohit Sharma as a captain, I think, was mediocre yesterday, was good today, and as a batter, I think he was pretty mediocre, because a lot when you're coming in with 469 runs to track down. I think coming in 30 runs was a decent enough opening partnership, but losing two back-to-back openers at that point really hindered India, and especially it exposed Cheteshwar Pujara and Kohli to the new ball. I think if the openers could have taken another 10 overs out of this new ball, I think both, I mean, Pujara and Kohli are both class players. They should know how to tackle the new ball as well.
Yeah.
But I still feel if the opening partnership would have gone on for another 5 to 10 overs, India would have
Hmm.
been at the most three down for 150,
Yeah.
151.
I think if you let Rohit Sharma settle down, he would have been a real thorn in Australia's books because it was not going to be easy because he would have really gotten going. Remember last time around India played a test match here, he did score 100 against England where India did go on to win. And remember Shardul Thakur did play a magical innings. So Indian fans will be hoping that they take a leaf out of that book and hope India repeats what they did in Oval in
I mean,
2021.
Evil,
But the only difference
318
is,
runs. They are
Sanibani, we don't
trailing
have a
by.
Jasprit Bumrah and we don't have Virat Kohli as a captain. So it's
No, but
it's
we
hard enough.
have 318 runs. We are trailing by
Yeah, and we don't have a
318
Ravi
runs.
Shastri, just telling them, "Come on, boys, let's go out and
Yeah,
smash them."
I think this test would have shown Rahul Dravid's actual character as a coach,
Yeah.
and I think I mean
Can we
stats
can we all
speak for itself.
accept? Can we all accept that we blamed Ravi Shastri, Bharat Arun, Virat Kohli for no reason whatsoever? Like दिख रहा है ना आजकल, दिख रहा है ना ओवरसीज टेस्ट मैच हारते जा रहा है. Like it's on the face of it, guys. Let's all give them the respect they deserve because we kicked them out. We treated them with absolute no respect, and it's shown. Sometimes some things come to bite you back, and it's shown. With that note, I'll end tonight's live because it was pleasure taking. It's just
No,
25
I
minutes.
think
We want to come back.
318 runs, 5 wickets. We still have Lord Umesh Yadav and Lord Shardul Thakur
Okay, guys,
to save the.
I'm predicting Kona Bharat to score 100, and India to cut down the
And
lead to
Rahane, come
100.
on, man. Rahane is
Yeah,
also there.
Rahane will score 100 as well. I'm just putting it up there. Rahane is India's next Test captain. Uh, just to make sure everything goes. So yeah, so
And
yeah.
and I think I have an interesting question for you guys. What do you think if India is bundled out for less than 269 yesterday? Do you think Australia will enforce the follow on?
No, I would suggest no, because the way this pitch is behaving right now, it is going to be really erratic on the fourth and the fifth day. The bounce is going to be up and down. You never know which ball is gonna hit your face and which ball is gonna hit your pad. So if I was Pat Cummins, I would rather put myself into bat and get my innings out of the way, really enclose the game, because when it comes to follow on, it's about maximizing your advantage. And at this point in time, you should really look at how the pitch is going to behave. And it's not going to be easy to bat on the fourth and the fifth day. Avoid
Absolutely.
batting on fourth and fifth day. So
But
India
I
will be
have an
glad
interesting take
if
on
they
that.
get to
I have
follow
an
on.
interesting take on that. But you're talking about the
Sure.
fourth day, fifth day. It is going to be difficult to bat on. But in case we have seen that England pitches doesn't not really wear off towards the fourth and the fifth
Yeah.
day. And if you go on to not enforce the follow on, you have to have that calculation in mind of how longer to bat, how long to
Mhm.
bat, and when to declare. Because you don't want to
Do we
leave, because
have
this is.
do we
I
have
personally think the same as well. I think
do
Australia will
we
be
have the
comfortable of
first
not
innings
letting the
rule?
follow on go. They will
Do you
not
guys think,
enforce the follow on because
do
if you
we
give a
have the
target in excess of
advantage of
400,
first
I think that's going
innings
to be very hard
that
for
is
India.
given to the? Is there
But
anything like a first innings advantage team wins the trophy
no,
though
no,
right
no,
now?
no.
If it's a
If
draw,
it's
it's
a
a draw.
draw, the trophy is shared. So that is why you have to really take in. If Australia does not enforce the follow-on, a lot of things comes into consideration, because they'll have to bat time as well. Because you don't want to
Hmm.
be in a scenario where the fourth innings India are able to sort of save the game, and it's a
Yeah.
draw. And then I'll have to also keep in mind that fourth innings in England haven't always been the worst. So a lot of
Hmm.
See, I'll
interesting
tell you
things.
the
So
possibilities of for India to save this matches. India batting just for 1 day in the last innings, which is day 4 a little bit and day 5, where India can save the test match. Or India batting out really well tomorrow, taking it as deep as tea till tomorrow, or at least lunch end, and see how things stand from there on. Then you can put Australia to bat for one whole day, which means lead also will be cut off to a larger extent. Now Australia will
no, they'll
really have
have
to
to
fight it
they'll
out.
have to bat till tea at least,
Yeah,
because if you're
so,
talking
so
about
which
batting
means
one
that
session,
Australia will
they'll.
battle day 4T. So tomorrow, if
Yeah,
India battles day 3T, Australia will have to battle day 4T. Then India will have to bat
exactly.
4 sessions. So that's what I'm trying to say. So these are factors which we can consider. That's about it from us right now. We'll be back tomorrow evening. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all, couple and everyone else. It was all great questions from your end. So we'll be taking all these questions tomorrow as well. Do join us on daily basis. We'll be coming and doing a review show, and hopefully our team is in a better position than what they are today right now. Good night, all of you. Have a good time and see you all very soon with an ICC trophy in India's hands.